T.B.Photo X1.5 GFX, and welcome back to another video. And now we have a real bombshell really for you. As many of you might know, and if you don't know, have you lived under a rock or something, but Photokina is now in full swing in Köln, Germany. And a lot of my favorite YouTube photographers are there. Basically, I watched a live show yesterday evening when the guy with the fro from Philadelphia, Jared Poland, was filming a Nikon event, and in the front in a front row seat was Matt Granger. So you had two of my favorite photographers in the same room listening to the same press event. And then it even got better because tucked away in the corner in the same room actually was Kai and Locke from Digital Rev TV. So the only people we were missing basically was the husband and wife team from Connecticut, United States, Tony and Chelsea Northrup. But if they had been there too, I think the universe wouldn't been able to handle it. So basically, but later in that yesterday evening in Photokina, of all the companies, FUJIFILM, the company that earlier this year announced that they were no longer going to make instant pack film, well, they have been coming out with a bombshell. Really, this is a real, I'm not going to use the word game changer because it's been so overused, but earlier this year, you might remember I did a video of it way back. Swedish Hasselblad, a byword, a poster child, the entire brand is a poster child for medium format, came out with a Hasselblad X1D, which was a medium format mirrorless camera. One of the gripes about that camera that when it came out was that it was a medium format sensor, but on the smaller scale of medium format sensors. But more about that later. Fuji came out and showed the world for the first time ever, available next year. The plan is at least that it will be available early 2017. And it was the FUJIFILM GFX. And I mean, this is gonna give the Hasselblad X1D a run for its money, hands down. This is gonna be Nordic design versus Japanese sensibility. I got a cheat sheet here now because I've been scouring the web this entire morning looking for details about this camera. I've seen some film from the press event. There are some sample videos and so on Fuji's homepage and so on, but I'm gonna just, if I'm looking down at the paper, please note that that's why I'm doing it. I have all the information here. Well, this is some of the specs for the new GFX. Fuji has introduced an all-new mount for their camera. It's called the G mount. Golf, as in G as in golf mount, bayonet mount, and it has a 26.7mm flange distance. It has a minimum back focus distance of 16.7mm. It will utilize a in-camera focal plane shutter design that is capable of going up to 1/4000th of a second. It has a new all-proprietary Fuji designed new large CMOS sensor. The first generation of the GFX will have a 51.4 megapixel sensor, and it will be in the resolution of 8256 times 6192 pixels. The sensor size is going to be 43.8 times 32.9 centimeters. It's a CMOS sensor, and calculated it will be 1.7 times bigger than a standard full frame sensor. And what they also announced at the press event yesterday in Photokina was that this camera sensor and its proprietary Fuji design will have multiple aspect ratios. Thus far they announced 7 of them. It's gonna be, the full would be a 51.4 megapixel 4:3 aspect ratio. If you want to do a 5:4 aspect ratio, it will be a 48 megapixel. 3:2 would be 45.4 megapixels. 16:9 will be a 38.3 megapixel. 65 times 24 would be a 25.2 aspect ratio. 7:6 will be 44.8 megapixels, and 1 times 1 will actually be a 38.3 megapixel. So this is also a little bit something I at least haven't seen before. So yeah, this is gonna be something epic. And with this new flange distance, Fujifilm, like Hasselblad, they had to announce a new line of lenses to go with this new camera. So for the G mount, they're called the GF lenses, and there have been 6 lenses have been announced thus far. Excuse me. Well, what was so great in the press event was that the Fuji announcer, he told the entire audience that these lenses are built with the future in mind. So they will be capable, the capacity of these lenses will be able to be paired with a 100 plus megapixel sensor. So they're built for the future. And currently there are 5 prime lenses in the lineup. That is confirmed. And there are going to be a 23mm f4, a 45mm f2.8, a 63mm also f.28, and then a 110mm f2 and a 120mm f4. And they've also announced one zoom lens, and that's going to be 32 to 64 f4. And they're set to go on sale in early 2017. And now a little bit of the X factors for this particular camera. I downloaded the PDF from Fuji's website about the press release of this camera. And what you can see right off the bat with this camera is that it's old school design. It takes quite many design cues from the the XT2, the XT1, XT2 mirrorless cameras that Fuji already has. You have top located, shutter speed and ISO dials. So they're on the top, and on the back you have an 8-way thumb focus point lever. So you can actually, you have a small thumb joystick, 8-way joystick in the back for selecting focus points. So way to go, Fuji. But here comes the absolute most glorious specification of this camera thus far. It has a hinged / rotatable viewfinder. You both have a back display, as with most digital cameras, but it also has a viewfinder, electronic viewfinder, that can be hinged. So you can rotate it up 90 degrees more or less, so you can get from it being a horizontal viewfinder where you look in the camera like this, you can make it into a vertical viewfinder, so you look down into it like you did with old, waist level finders. So you can do the similar thing with this, but now it's hinged, so it's very beneficial for the mirrorless digital technology with this viewfinder. Fuji announced they will be supporting tethering right out of the box, and external monitor capability. You can use these with Atomoses and so on. it has a 3-way tiltable back LCD display, and they haven't, set a their target in this moment in time. Fuji representative said that the target price, excluding tax, would be said to be sub $10,000. I mean, at first glance, this seems to be a natural progression of the mirrorless systems. When the Hasselblad X1D was announced earlier this year, it was, it was really hailed as a revolutionary because it was something completely new, and it really didn't have anything to compare to. Remember, the X1D is a mirrorless medium format camera as well. And it was hailed as a masterpiece of innovation and, Nordic/Scandinavian design. The minimalist design of it. But now with the Fuji, when they launched this, that is a more traditional type camera. I mean, it has this tiltable viewfinder and tiltable back screen, things that the Hasselblad doesn't have. These are the only two that will be on the market thus far that I'm aware of. If there are any other digital mirrorless medium format cameras that are in the pipeline for different manufacturers, I don't know. I would suspect Pentax might have something in their, R&D department, excuse me. But if we're just gonna take the two that we know now, let's just compare a bit. The Hasselblad 50 megapixel sensor. The Fuji 51.4. Okay, negligible difference basically. But here is something different. Hasselblad has a maximum shutter speed of 1/2000th of a second. The Fuji will have a 1/4000th of a second, so 1 f-stop. Sensor size. Hasselblad 43.8 times 32.9 centimeters. Fuji 34.8 times 32.9 centimeters, so they're equal in sensor size. So that's basically something interesting, but Fuji managed to squeeze a little bit more megapixels out of it. But then the Hasselblad has a set list price of $8,995. The Fuji is yet to be announced, but they have claimed that it will be sub 10,000. Okay, lenses. Hasselblad, they have 3 lenses as of this date, but probably they have more planned. Fuji, on the other hand, they announced 6 lenses for this entire system when it was announced yesterday. The Hasselblad uses dual SD card slots for memory. The Fuji, I haven't really found any information about what type of memory storage device it's going to use in camera, so I can't really have anything there to compare to. The Hasselblad are using in-lens leaf shutters in the lenses, and the Fuji was announced to have a in-camera focal plane shutter. So is one better than the other? Well, that's experience and the usability of the cameras themselves. But all in all, this was, to this date, one of the most interesting, if not spectacular, events that have gone on in Photokina thus far. And I'm expecting to see maybe some more interesting developments as we get them in. But anyway, for now, this is Tobias Bergstrom from T.B.Photo X1.5 GFX, and I would like to see you guys in the next video, so take care from now on, bye.